Hello, what's up, people? It's Chudu Bev here. We've got a wonderful interview today with Grace Kelly, a coach who I've had the pleasure of working with, but not just a coach, a facilitator of transformation and miracles. And here we really explore what asking means to her. She has a very interesting experience of asking and what comes through that, and not having to take all the stresses in life upon oneself. Looking to something greater and seeing the miracles that come from that. So, look forward to you getting into this, guys. If you want to learn more about Grace, connect with her, see what programs I think she's got coming up. Check the description below. She runs a program with another amazing coach called Dominic Scafidi called Living Miraculously quite regularly. So, there'll be a link to check that out below. So yeah, without any further ado, get into it. Enjoy. Bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this series I've loosely titled Conversations with Coaches. Uh, Today, we have the wonderful, the magnanimous, the graceful Grace Kelly with us. Grace is a transformational coach, uh, author, speaker, based in Italy, and I've worked with Grace as she's been my coach for over a year. And I first encountered her during a program called Living Miraculously, which Grace runs with another awesome coach called Dominic Scafidi. Grace, quite simply, just has a wonderful, effortless perspective and embodied way of movement about how you can be successful in life with much less work than you think, and by looking to that power that is simultaneously greater than us, but also that we are a part of. So a lot of her work explores synchronicity, serendipities, presence in the moment, and that being the source of creation in the world. Grace, how was that?
That was fabulous. Dubin, thank you. I love how you brought together what I'm up to in the world in such an effortless way there.
So I've been learning.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well,
So
thank you for having me.
you're welcome. You're welcome. That's a pleasure. And one thing I want to do this serious. I see coaches. That's a obviously it's a wide term, but people who are in this profession of sparking transformation, helping people see greater possibilities, so on and so forth. I think we all have our own unique superpowers, as it were, right? We will generally have great leadership and creativity, so on and so forth. But there's specific things that specific coaches do really well and or just really with ease. And you know what? There were so many things that I could have spoke about, but this thing around asking just always comes to mind, and how you embrace asking um, with ease, and you have a unique perspective on asking. And I share that because I think a lot of people who I speak with, and I'll include myself, right, struggle with asking for help, asking for support, trying to do everything on our own, trying to figure out everything, right, on our own. And if we can't figure it out, then being in the analysis paralysis, or the fear or the stuckness, so on and so forth. So I thought that could be a nice entry point to begin, this exploration today.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that you're so tuned into that, that it really doesn't have to be all on you, that it's possible to ask. Yeah, I think just having come from an experience of efforting and struggling and worrying, I became more and more interested in not doing that. It just felt so awful. And I was fortunate enough to have wonderful examples around me, mostly teachers who were grounded in the three principles understanding. And I think I really absorbed from them this deeper trust in life to take care of things, this deeper kind of dependency on the self with a capital S instead of the small self. And I did my training, I did my apprenticeship with Michael Neal. That was transformative for a year. And in that year, I was introduced to some of the original students of Sydney Banks, who was the enlightened Scottish welder who really brought this understanding into the world. And so I got a lot of really good training, coaching, grounding, and examples. But I took things to a new level, as you know, Dubam, after the death of my partner. When really, in a moment that you would expect your heart to be shut down, my heart was blown open really with his death. I experienced the deepest feeling of love I had ever had. I think up until that point, I had intellectualized what love was or what love is. And in his death, and for many months afterwards, I was just carried by this feeling of love, this feeling of trust. And I got curious about, I suppose, life after death, what's available. And because my partner was so good at fixing things when he was in physical form, I started asking him to help me address things in his now non-physical form. I just got curious about, you know, is is support available? And I discovered miracle after miracle after miracle that it was. And I think my life took on an even fresher sense of ease as I began to become deeply connected with spirit again, with spirituality, with who we are beyond the physical form, with the consciousness that is all loving. And asking just became second nature to me, whether I was asking for help with finding a new home, which I did, or whether I was asking for help with opening a bottle of wine, or whether I was asking for help with getting my passport renewed within 2 weeks, even though the waiting list was 6 months long. I started seeing the miraculous. I started seeing that every time I asked, it was given. And life did get easier and easier. And at some point, I started hearing a prominent spiritual teacher talk about, you know, a spiritual staff available to us at all times. And I really connected with that. Like, yeah, a spiritual staff is at our beck and call. And yet here we are as little humans struggling through life, forgetting that, you know, we can hand over whatever's on our minds. And in doing so, we let go in a way, and all resistance falls away, allowing for this incredible spiritual support to step in. Now, whether or not we notice that support is on us. As far as I'm concerned, we're all living miraculously all the time. It's just that sometimes our mind is not noticing, not tuned into the miracle, more tuned into the problem, the lack, innocently. And as we begin to tune into the miracle, the miraculous, oh, look how that worked out. Oh, look how easy that was. Oh, look, I got what I asked for. Oh, look at that. Like, as we begin to tune in there, it grows. And so my life is at a new level of ease, I would say, very unexpectedly. Given that most people who suddenly lose their partner to a heart attack kind of struggle to create a new life after that. And I found that I not only was able to create a new life, but I was able to meet a new love. And I've been able to get back into my business quite effortlessly. And and I was able to create a book from these incredible miracles that have been unfolding ever since, in the form of me asking for help and receiving it. So yes, life is a lot less effortful now that I ask, and I invite everybody to ask for support because it's there.
Isn't it? What I love about the asking, philosophy as a way of movement is the simplicity, is the inbuilt nature of it, you know, and like to your the experience, with your partner passing on, as we would say, and then to see the possibility in that. Do you remember like the moment where, because I'm sure there of course there was the grief, but was there a moment where it was like, I'm do you remember the moment was like, what if I could call on, like, I'm just curious about that
Yeah.
connection.
Well, yes, I do remember that, because that was those moments of asking were born in my deepest sorrow. I really wanted evidence that he was still with us. I really would hit pretty big lows and would call on his support. And I remember one distinct example of that, after hearing that there was the possibility of, life beyond physical form. I remember just standing on the beach, and I think I'd heard about that a couple of days in it beforehand. And I'm standing on the beach with my dogs, and I'm in such tears, and they're rolling down my face. I'm looking at the ocean in front of me, and I'm in my partner's hometown on that beach where he grew up. And and I simply, in that moment, in all of that grief, I just asked, give me a sign. Give me a sign that you're still with us. Give me a sign that you're okay. Give me a sign that all is well. And I just remember being guided to either close my eyes and open them, or to look over to the left a bit. And as I looked over to the left, I think I was just opening my eyes after asking about giving me a sign. I opened my eyes looking over to the left, and there were hundreds of dancing fish. I have walked that beach for years with my partner. I used to live for 2 years right next to that beach. It's where I used to go and meditate every day. I have never seen fish jumping out of the water like that and showing me their beautiful silver, coloring, hundreds of them. And I trusted that that was my sign. That was really when I began asking, really began asking. Now, we can use our free will to just make that a coincidence. But I knew by the feeling I was in, the upliftment of joy from grief, that that was his way of brightening my day. That was his way of showing me that, yeah, he was still there. Another thing that happened really interestingly was, my partner was really good at fixing things and he was very technological. Um, and I remember just going for this, like I got into my car and I went to the supermarket. At this point, I'm still living with his parents. We're in the middle of COVID and we're probably a couple of months into the grief and the lockdown, and I'm staying with his parents, but I'm able to go to the coffee bar, the supermarket, thank God. And I just remember going and being in conversation with him in the car, like, are you still here? Are you still helping me? Can you help me? And I got out of the car and the windows went up and down in my car. The electrics were playing around. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening here? I mean, I'm talking like all four windows. So again, to me, I've had that car for years. I never had anything like that with car windows. And I get back into the car and I'm like, please, please stop. Please, put the window, make sure the windows are up and I don't have any problems here. And I was able to put the windows up and not hear any more from Francesco. But again, it was another very tangible sign after, and immediately really after asking about, are you still here? Are you with us? Can you help me? And as my faith strengthened, Dubam, my requests got a little bigger and a little more demanding than "Are you still here?" Like I really stopped asking that question because I trusted. Okay, he's here. He's part of my spiritual team now. And I started asking, requesting, bigger things like help me find a new apartment that me and my dogs can live in. And, help me, as I said earlier, help me get my passport renewed on time to get home. And despite this incredibly long queue post Brexit, when everybody was asking for an Irish passport, or at least everybody who could, I had mine in the space of 2 weeks instead of 6 months. um you know I asked for, I mean, there's just so many things. I really live like this now, day to day.
Well, that would,
It's yeah.
well, that was because that was where uh, and maybe I shouldn't create the skepticism, right? That may people may be feeling at some point because you know, just to play the other side, it'd be like, okay, you can ask for those things, right? But what if I want to ask for like £1 million, or like whatever, like a trip to LA, like it's like, is that really possible? Or maybe you could speak to what might get in the way of an ask being unfolded, as it were.
Yeah, that's a lovely question, really helpful. When I ask whether I'm asking my partner or a spiritual team or life in general, I'm usually asking from this feeling of deep desire. There's a deep desire for what I'm yearning for. I think a lot of people might be asking for $1 million when they don't even think that's available or possible, and it's certainly not a deep desire. It's a fantasy. I've never thought of asking for that. I can tell you I've asked for money and it has been received. I remember in one instance, I wasn't really in my business after everything that happened, and I needed some cash. And I decided to relax about it. I simply asked, send me the money I need and send it by today. And I went out for lunch. A friend paid for lunch. I enjoyed myself. And as I sat there, a local guy called me and said, can you stop by the Enoteca later? There's an American couple want to meet you. And I thought that was very strange, but I had asked that morning. So any leads that were coming in, I was taking. And I went and I met this American couple and they said, Grace, could you do a bit of translation for us? We need to meet with an Italian contractor. We're worried that he might be ripping us off. And I thought, well, my Italian's not that good, but okay, yeah, I can do that. And I didn't really think about beyond that. And we met up a couple hours later and I did the translation. And I really thought like I was helping out a friend, as it were. But the couple said to me, no, we must pay you. I said, I don't really know what to ask for. Oh no, you must tell me what would you like to get paid? And I said, well, I don't know, like maybe like it was just translation. I didn't do much. And they insisted, no, you spent 2 hours with us. What do you normally charge as a coach for 2 hours? That's what we're paying you. Well, Dubam, that was like an incredible miracle, because that was the money that I desired and required in a very easy, effortless way. Now, let me get back to the point though. Had I woke up and asked for $1 million that day, I'm not sure that would have been my true yearning stroke belief level. But waking up and asking, come on now, money is needed. Can you help me out here? Send me what I need by the end of the day. That felt realistic to me. That felt open. And I've had many, many, many examples of that, just the possibility versus trying to ask for something from life or from whomever when we don't really believe that it can happen. I'm just going to share one other example was, again, I wasn't in my business. I wasn't coaching for a while and money was needed. I enjoy the nice life. I don't want to be scrimping and scrambling and borrowing and worrying. And I simply put it out there, like send me an opportunity and send me the opportunity that I can make money in a really easy way. Well, again, a new lead showed up, this time in the form of, Grace, would you like to sell our house for us? I don't sell houses. I've nothing to do with houses, but this English couple, friends of mine, were like, no, we just need you to show up and show people. We'll send the people. You just show up and open the door and let them in. And here's our keys. We need to go back to England. Would you be happy to do that? So I'm thinking, well, Grace, you just asked for money and here comes the lead. So say yes. And so I said yes. And I think it was a very quick time. It was within 2 weeks or so, I showed a few people, and I literally, Jabin, showed up at the house, opened the door, took them in, showed them around. That was the only work I did. And I got a massive commission when they sold that house. And it was almost like, oh my God, like, are you sure? Like, I didn't really do anything. And then I remembered, no, Grace, you asked and life is providing. So you receive. Sometimes I think people ask, but they're not willing to receive.
Yeah. Or
they don't feel, somebody else might say, well, I don't sell houses, so no. Whereas I invite people to just be open. When you're asking, be open to whatever form the miracle shows up in.
Well, that's what was like coming to mind, right? Because it could seem a little like I guess esoteric, or like you just ask and then okay, stuff happens, but it's like it's the ask and move, as it were. There was a
That's
Liverpool, Liverpool in the 80s, and they had this song called Pass and Move.
right.
So I just get to like ask and move, right? Like, and not move necessarily. Okay, let me ask and let me try and figure it out. It's like ask, let go, be in your life, and listen for the lead, right? For the next step. And
Yeah,
it's like you don't know where that next step is actually going to go, you right,
that's
and how it's going to, manifest. And I can very much share like a similar experiences of just like wanting, something like I told you this one, like I wanted like a space, I wanted a space to do coaching. Like I didn't have any money for it. I didn't know how it would happen. And then just one day I was on the tube and something inside of me was like, go take a tour of a co-working space. It's very random, but I know you can easily book them for free because they're always looking for new members. So I was in Old Street. I did a tour of this co-working space. I was speaking to a lady who was a program manager with this organization I've worked with. And she said, "Oh, where are you?" I said, "Oh, I'm out at a co-working space." She's like, you can come to our offices, which are based in a co-working space, and you can just come as our guest, right? And we'll just sign you in. You can have the space. So I used to come. I was like, I didn't know that. So then I just used to go there as a guest. And then, one of my friends, he was coming in from another country, and I said, "Hey," we just started working together in a coaching relationship. I'm like, "Hey, we can do it in person." And then I did first coaching, in person there. And then that has actually built into me having my own membership, like of this space. And like I haven't paid any financial money for it. Now, obviously, I've done various other things and stuff, but and it was just crazy, like so that maybe kind of speaks to the element of like how much of it is like a lived experience, right? Like I was just getting the sense you've gained, let's say gained the confidence, but seeing the things that you've seen, does that you have to see it for yourself to then allow you to be like, okay, well, I've seen this. Now can I go here? Right? Someone who's kind of just starting off in the asking lifestyle, as it were,
yeah.
on a
Oh,
conscious level, right? So can you speak to that?
that's brilliant to do from that, the asking lifestyle. Um, us askers, we're just a bit lazy about life. Like, I just don't want a hard life. Maybe had a tough childhood growing up, who knows? Like, but I just like things to be gentle and easy and simple. And I think our there is a level of faith and trust that
Mm,
grows
mm,
as we pay attention
mm,
to the miracles we are receiving.
mm,
And for they're often very small and simple to begin with. I mean, I think it's a miracle if I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I can't get back to sleep and I ask for support in returning to a beautiful sleep. I think it's a miracle, and I even encourage and invite people to have a little miracle journal. If I, you know, again, another example with sleep, but if I wake up and I feel rested,
mm.
you know, whereas I think sometimes people are so innocently living at a very fast pace. They're not even noticing that those simple things they might have asked for.
I've already been, I've already been given. I was actually just thinking that it's like it's not necessarily about oh let me ask for what's next. It's like actually appreciating like what's actually already there. Like it's what's been there before, what's always been there. It's like it's a presence in, right? It's a presence in an appreciation, a slowing down and be like me and you, right? Like we're talking right now, just coming to me now, like you're in Italy. How would we have even met? Like, I mean, it's pretty crazy that we actually know each other. Like, do you know what I mean? Like on that scale, and we're doing this interview right now. Whoever's listening to this interview right now, wherever you're at, shout outs to you. Do you know what I mean? But like you're listening to that's a miracle. Like that's appreciating like that, actually presencing in that, like whoa, we're so like, what's next? What's next? What am I not doing? It's like, hold on, wait a minute, brother. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot happening right now.
And that's right. That's such a good point. You can only see the miracle when you are present. This is why so much of the work I'm doing with clients is around helping them just get out of that fast-paced, busy mind and into right now, into right now, because in here we have clarity. In here we see the miracle. In here our asking is very different. A lot of people innocently, they're asking from a worried state of mind. But it's a different ask when you're living in this quieter space of presence. And start small, if you want to. I mean, start small. Something's not working, you can't get a front door open, your key's getting jammed, I don't know, like ask. Life, God, your spiritual team, a beloved past one, whoever, whatever you connect with. Just ask rather than get into frustration and keep efforting and struggling and pushing. And then be present. Be thankful when the miracle arrives. So the asking lifestyle, it becomes a habit. And asking gets easier and more and clearer as we go along. But we don't want to miss when we receive. We want to pay attention to life sending the miracle our way.
Well, I think that's a lovely place to conclude. Thank you, Grace. Really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to share with the people, where they can find you? Anything you just want to put out there? It's last.
Well, people are very welcome to find me on gracefulcoaching.net. I write a regular blog there called Grace Notes, where I share lots and lots of examples of the miraculous. And so people are welcome to check that out, Dubem. And I'm sure maybe you'll provide a link for people along with the interview.
100%. It'll be in the description. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Grace. Of course, what an absolute pleasure. I look forward to listening to this myself and asking. Of course.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.